In this video, I'm going to show you a basic workflow in Clay, no AI personalization, no complicated stuff, just a basic actionable workflow you can use for 90% of your campaigns. If you don't know who I am, I'm Romain Osman. I co-founded 5Element, and over the past years, we've generated over 1,000 sales appointments for B2B companies using cold email and LinkedIn outreach. And so in this video, I'm going to show you the main workflow we're using for our clients. So let's get started. So first, here are the columns that I imported from Apollo. You have the company name, first name, last name. Then full name, it's a formula on Clay. So I'm going to show you how to do it. As you can see, it's first name, last name. And so if you want to have the same here, you go to insert one column on the right, then formula. And here you can use AI to create a formula. So here it's very easy. I want to combine first name and last name. Generate formula. Here is going to show you your output. So first name, last name, and here you can see they're combined. It's perfect. And here you have the formula that he created. So I'm going to delete it since we already have it. And so we have this column because you will see later for the enrichment, we will need the full name. Then we have the website, we have the person LinkedIn URL, the title, the job title of the person, the email. So sometimes we don't have the email address, so we're going to do some enrichment. And here we have another formula for cleaning the company domain. So I'm going to show you later why it's important to do that. And so it's very simple. It's another formula. You just use AI the same way we've done it before. You say that you want to remove the HTTPS, HTTP, www, the 2 dots, slashes, etc. And it's going to clean it for you like that. So our workflow starts with look up multiple rows in other table. That's our first main column. And so here it's going to check in another Clay table if the domain that is here is already on the other table. And so on the other table that I have here, you're going to add all of the domains, all of the companies that you don't want to contact. You can add your clients, you can add people that told you that they don't want to receive any emails from you, and other potential companies you don't want to contact. And so on this other Clay table, I have another formula that is very similar. It's either going to check the website and clean it like we've done it before, or it's going to clean the email address. So here I have a formula where I can either add a website here or an email, and it's going to clean it. So I'm going to show you how to configure it. So here, table to search. So first, table to search. So in my case, it's template DNC. That's the name of my table. DNC for do not contact. Target column, it's company domain. Filter operator, we need to add equals. And row value, here we're mapping company domain. It's this column. And so here, as you can see, I ran a test. Here it found one record for helpseeker.org. And as you can see here, we have helpseeker.org. And so in the next columns that we're going to add, like those columns here, we're going to add what they call a run settings to not enrich the column and to not run the column if a record has been found here. So as you can see here, it ran for all of them except for this column, run condition not met. Also, in this workflow, the first column is the only one I need to run. As you can see here, if I edit, auto update here is unchecked because that's the column I want to run. And then all of the others here, they're automatic, meaning if I click here on click to run, it's going to run this column, and then all of the rest will be automatic, as you can see here. Then we want to check what's the MX provider of the domain. We want to do that because there are some providers that we don't want to contact. In my case here, I avoid contacting Microsoft 365 providers because we notice that we have low deliverability on those mailboxes. And so then when it's Microsoft 365, we have run settings again for the rest of the workflow, where if the provider is Microsoft 365, it's not running. And so I'm going to share this workflow in the description so you will be able to use everything. And so this one is free. As you can see, it's an HTTP API column. And so here it's a get method. And the endpoint is this one. It's from LeadMagic. It's completely free. You don't need any API. And so here, as you can see, it's auto update. So this way, when I run this column here, I don't need to run it as well. And I have the run setting. That is that if no records have been found, then it can run the column. Otherwise, it's not running like in this case. Then we're going to validate the email using debounce in my case. But we don't want to run if a record has been found here and if the provider is Microsoft. So if we take a look here on the first row, we don't have any email. So we'll need to do some enrichment behind. And so run condition is not met. Second row, run condition not met because a record has been found. Third row, it's Microsoft, so it's not running. Then we have an email, no record has been found, and they're using Google. So in that case, as you can see, it's running. And so here it's going to tell us whether the email is valid, invalid, a catch-all, or unknown. Then when there is no email here, we will want to do some enrichment. And so as you can see here, when there is no email, it's running Prospeo. We're not doing any waterfall enrichment right now because we found that Prospeo has very good coverage. And so we don't need to use other tools. In our case, it doesn't necessarily make sense. But here you might want to do some waterfall enrichment using LeadMagic, Prospeo, TriKit, ICPs, etc. So in this column is the same. If the provider is Microsoft, if it found a record here, it's not going to run. So that's why here it only ran for this row and this row, because here, as you can see, it's Microsoft and here Microsoft as well. So in our case here, it didn't find any email, but later I will run the full table and you will see that it finds some emails. Then we have a column here that we call email for unreached.so. So here I could have called this column email for catch-alls because here we want to gather all of the catch-alls that we found here. So then we can verify the catch-all in the next column. And so in my case, for the catch-alls, I'm using unreached.so. You have a lot of other tools to verify catch-alls, but unreached.so is pretty efficient. And so here you're going to add a merge column. So you can click here, insert one column on the right, and click on merge columns. And so it's going to merge data from other columns in a defined order. So here it's a formula again. So basically what it's doing is that it's checking this column. And of course you can use AI to create this formula, but it's going to check this column. And if the email is risky or unknown, it's going to add it here. If I check here, for example, as you can see, the result is risky. And so that's why it added the email of the person here. And so then it's going to check this column, the Prospeo column. And so if it's a catch-all, it's going to add it here as well. And so after that, since unreached.so doesn't have its own integration in Clay, like Prospeo or debounce, I need to create an HTTP API column. And so, you have to do it manually, adding your API manually and all of that. It's very simple to do because all of those tools have API documentations. But yeah, in that case, you need to add that. And so here you're just going to add your email for unreached.so column and verify it. Then we have our master email column. So it's a merge column again. So it's going to try first to check debounce. So if the result in debounce is safe to send, that's how they call it in debounce, then it's going to add the email here. Then it's going to try Prospeo. So if the email in Prospeo is valid, it's going to add it. And then it's going to try unreached.so. So again, if it's valid, it's going to add the email here. And so that column is called master email because that's what we're going to add in Instantly or Smart Lead. And so as you can see here, it's gathering all of the valid emails. So as you can see here, we have a valid email, here a valid email, here valid. Here it was valid, but as you can see here, if I check the details, it wasn't really valid. Like the result is risky, but they make it invalid here. And so then we checked with unreach.so. And so the result of unreach.so was valid. And so that's why it's adding the email here. Then we have the clean company name column. So here we're using AI to clean the company name, as simple as that. So as you can see here, I have my prompt. So this column is only running if the master email is not empty. So it's very important to every time add a condition. Otherwise, it's just going to run for all of your rows. And so you're going to lose a lot of credits. So as you can see here, it's running only if there is an email in master email. And we're cleaning the company name because that's something we're going to use in our copy. And so, for example, here we had DG Farms Smart Agriculture. We don't want to have that in our copy. So as you can see here, it cleaned it in the right way. Here we had Agrology, a public benefit corporation. It's just adding Agrology. So it's also removing the LLC, LTD, TM, Inc., and all of the little details that you don't want in your copy. Now, our last column is to add the lead to the campaign. So as you can see here, I connected Smart Lead. So if the master email is not empty and master company name is not empty, then it's going to add it in the campaign that I decided. Here you can add all your parameters and it's going to add it directly in your campaign. Here I didn't configure it, so that's why it didn't run, but that's something you can easily do here. So when you import a list of leads from Apollo, it's good to always start with a few leads like that to see that everything is correctly configured. As you can see here, we checked everything looks good. And so when that's the case, then you can click on Run Column and run all rows that haven't run or have errors. So I'm going to do it right now. So as you can see, it's done. So here we have other examples to analyze. Here, for example, we didn't have the email, so we weren't able to validate anything. So here, Prospeo found an email and the email was valid. And so it directly went to master email. And then it cleaned the company name, etc. Here, it found an email, but the email was a catch-all. And so here, it added it here and it verified it with unreach.so. And so unreach.so found that the email was valid. And so it added it in master email. Here we have another example. Prospeo found an email. Then unreach.so tried to validate it. It's invalid. And so it's not adding it in master email. And so as you can see here, everything is working well. Another thing that I didn't precise that, for example, here for lookup multiple rows in other table, you can also look up for rows in HubSpot, for example, or even Salesforce. I don't do it personally because I noticed that it's taking a lot more time to check all of your rows in HubSpot instead of directly in Clay. So in general, I prefer adding the companies that I don't want to contact in a different table in Clay. It's just way faster. And so, of course, you could add a lot more complexity to Clay workflow. You could add a long waterfront enrichment. You could add a lot of Clay gen columns to add some AI personalization in your emails. But here I wanted to show you a basic Clay workflow that you can apply in most cases. It's very easy to set up. I'm going to put the link in the description. And yeah, you can easily start with Clay and start launching your first campaign with this simple workflow. So that's it for the video. I hope everything was clear. If you have any question regarding what I shared in this video, feel free to add a comment or send me a message directly on LinkedIn and I will be able to help you. Now, if you want us to build and run your entire outbound system for you, so you don't have to focus on any of what I shared in this video and you can just focus on closing deals, feel free to click the first link in the description to book a call with me. Thank you for watching.